Hello everyone, tonight we bring you a story of mystery, fear, and a secret that waited decades to be revealed. This is The Midnight Visitor. Story begins in the peaceful town of Ravenslow, nestled between fog-drenched hills and whispering pine forests, lived a woman named Clara Hemsley. Clara was known for her calm nature. She worked as a school librarian, lived alone in a small cottage, and loved the quiet that nighttime brought. Her house stood at the edge of the forest, where the wind carried strange echoes and the shadows moved a little differently. But Clara never feared the dark. She had lived there for 8 years without a single disturbance, until the night everything changed. It was exactly 12:03 a.m. when the first knock came, not loud, not hurried, just a slow tap, tap, tap. Clara froze. She wasn't expecting anyone. No one ever visited her this late, and her nearest neighbor was nearly a mile away. She waited, thinking maybe she imagined it. But then it came again. Tap, tap, tap. Something about the sound felt wrong, too measured, too patient, almost as if whoever was outside knew she was listening. Clara took a deep breath, picked up her lantern, and walked toward the door. "Who's there?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. No answer. She stepped closer. The wind howled outside, slamming against the old wooden shutters. For a moment, she thought maybe it was the branches hitting the door, but the taps were too precise. She lifted her lantern and looked through the peephole. There was no one, just darkness. But as she turned to go back to her room, she heard it, a whisper, faint and impossible to ignore. "Clara, let me in." Her blood ran cold. She spun around, heart pounding. Who said that? Silence. But inside her chest, fear began blooming like a shadow. Part 2. The Visitor returns. For the next 3 nights, everything escalated. On the second night, the knocking came at 12:04 a.m. On the third night, 12:05 a.m. Each night, the voice grew clearer. "Clara. Don't ignore me, Clara. Open the door, Clara. I know what you did." She told herself it was impossible. She hadn't done anything. But the fear of the unknown gnawed at her. Finally, she went to the town sheriff, an elderly man named Graham Turner. "Sheriff, someone is coming to my door every night," he sighed. "Clara, that forest has many sounds. Sometimes old houses." "No," she interrupted. "Someone knows my name. Someone is whispering." Sheriff Turner frowned. "I'll come by tonight. Just in case." That night, Clara felt a bit safer knowing someone was watching, but safety is an illusion. At 12:06 a.m., the knocking started, louder this time. Sheriff Graham stepped forward with his flashlight. "Stay back," he whispered. He opened the door. Nothing. No footprints in the dirt, no sign of anyone walking through the grass, no broken branches. Nothing but a chilling cold wind that rushed inside. Sheriff Graham scratched his beard. Strange. But harmless. Maybe just kids playing, but Clara knew the voice wasn't a child. And it wasn't harmless. Part 3. The truth begins to unfold. For the next few days, Clara tried to keep busy at work. One evening, as she rearranged old books in the library basement, she found something hidden behind a dusty shelf. A diary bound in cracked leather. Curious, she opened it. It belonged to a girl named Lydia Crowhurst. From 1979, the diary entries were short at first. School life, friends, daily events. But then the tone changed. "Something knocks on my window every night. It knows my name. It wants to come inside. Mom thinks I'm imagining things. But I'm not." Clara's hand shook as she read the final entry. "Tonight, I will open the window. I can't take it anymore. Whatever happens. I hope someone finds this." That was the last page. Clara's heart nearly stopped. The same knocking, the same voice, the same pattern of time changing each night. Something had happened to Lydia, and whatever visited her was now visiting Clara. Part 4. The Midnight Revelation. That night, Clara didn't sleep. She sat waiting, lantern lit, diary in her lap. At exactly 12:07 a.m., the tapping began, but this time, it didn't come from the door, it came from the window. Slow, steady, closer to her. Tap. 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 Her heart pounded violently. She forced herself to look. Outside the window stood a faint silhouette, tall, thin, and unnaturally still. Then the whisper came again, but this time clearer than ever. "Clara. You opened the door for me once. Don't you remember?" Clara shook her head. "No. I've never." But the voice interrupted, "You did. When you were 10 years old. In this same forest. Do you recall the girl who disappeared? Do you remember what you saw?" Memories she had buried for decades began to surface. When she was 10, she found a girl crying in the woods, a girl named Lydia. A girl who said something was following her, a girl Clara left alone because she was scared. Lydia never came out of the forest again, Clara whispered, horrified. I didn't know. I was a child." The figure pressed its shadowy hand against the window. "You left me. Now I'm here for you." Part 5. A terrifying choice. Clara backed away, trembling. She grabbed the lantern and ran to the door. She had two options: run into the forest, or stay in the house where it was trying to enter. But before she could decide, the window latch snapped open on its own. A wave of icy air swept in. The shadow moved inside, growing taller, filling the room with darkness. "Clara," it whispered. "Come with me." She ran. Out the front door, into the cold night, down the narrow forest path. Branches whipped against her arms. Her breath turned white. Behind her, she heard the whisper echoing, "You can't run from what you owe." Part 6. The final moment. Clara reached the old well at the edge of the woods, the one sealed decades ago after Lydia disappeared. She stopped. The whisper came again, now from all directions, "Look inside." Her hand shook violently as she lifted the old wooden cover. A cold blue light glowed from the darkness below, and then she saw it. Lydia. Her face pale, her eyes hollow, her voice a broken echo. "You left me. Now don't leave again." Clara fell to her knees. Tears streamed down her face. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't know. I was scared." The forest fell silent. Then Lydia spoke softly, not angry, not threatening. "Just tired." "Then set me free." A sudden realization struck Clara. The knocking wasn't to harm her, it wasn't revenge, it was a cry for help. Slowly, Clara reached her hand into the glowing well. The light wrapped around her arm, warm instead of cold, and then Lydia's shadow faded. Dissolved. Released. The whisper disappeared. The forest grew quiet again. Clara collapsed, exhausted but relieved. The midnight visitor was gone forever. Epilogue. The next morning, Sheriff Graham found Clara asleep near the well. She told him everything: the diary, the voice, the truth from her childhood. The authorities reopened Lydia's case. The town finally knew what happened all those years ago. As for Clara, the midnight visits stopped, but every night, she leaves a lantern burning by her window, not out of fear, but out of remembrance, because some shadows don't return to haunt you, some return so you can finally say goodbye.